there's always Murphy's Law, something, it's going to be a glitch or goes awry. So patience is always a virtue when you're working with technology. So I think
That's right.
everybody's patient.
Hmm.
So we're ready. Everybody received the topics, and we're gonna jump right in on Mother's Day, talking about Mother's Day, which is the most cherished holiday of the year, and that's coming up on us soon. And I just want to say happy Mother's Day to those that are still amongst us, and blessed heavenly Mother's Day to those that have gone on before. We give flowers, tangible flowers, virtual flowers, and flowers of prayers for families who don't have their mother currently with them, but the thoughts are forever in their hearts, in our hearts, and in our prayers, in love forever. So happy Mother's Day to those that are celebrating and commemorating the fantastic mothers. We're going to ask Clayton if you have words or a story of love about Mother's Day, or would like to wish those out in the audience a happy Mother's Day. Do you have words for Mother's Day?
Oh yes, oh yes. And like you said, I just wanted to wish Darren and Cheryl. I think Darren, can you hear me, Darren? Let's see, Darren is on mute. Okay. Yes, I would like to wish
I apologize.
Cheryl. Okay, you hear me, Darren?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, all right. I'd like to wish both of y'all happy Mother's Day. Cheryl, I know you are a mother. I'm wishing Darren the same thing. And even though my mother's passed, I I do have a story of when my mother was with us, and it happened to be when I was very young, and she came to see me play in the band. Yeah, I played in the band, and I was playing the clarinet, and we was playing around Christmas time, and we was playing Carol of the Bells, and I was so nervous, but I saw my mom. She was telling me, just keep doing it, keep going, keep going. You'll be all right. Because I was looking at my instrument, like I was looking at my clarinet, like there's no sound coming out of it, but it was nerves, and it was nerves. But I was looking at my mom, and she was telling me just doing this. She kept telling me, so I kept, and I eventually played. But the good thing about it, I was able to get back on notes and not sound out of place because you can tell when somebody's playing an instrument that, wait a minute, that sound didn't go right with everybody else. But I was able to get back on note. So that's one of the stories that I have to tell.
And isn't that typical of mom, our greatest fan, our greatest encourager? That's just one of the many attributes of one mother. That's a great mother.
Yes, indeed. I believe that because,
So,
of course, what were you saying, Cheryl?
no, continue.
Oh, no, I said yes, indeed. And of course, without mothers, we would never be here. And because my mother used to tell me the story all the time about when she was 9 years old and she had polio. And well, she had not polio, but she had some kind of disease. Of course, the doctors, we wasn't seen by their doctors back then. We was probably given some type of little home remedy that didn't work. And she used to tell me the story if she didn't ever, she thought that she was gonna die. She thought that she was gonna die at 9 years old. And I said, Mom, that's why you're a blessing because you blessed me. Because if you never would have saw 10, I never would have been here. I never
Amen.
would have been here. So that's just one of those stories that I never ever forget about my mom.
Yeah. And of course, we all have mothers. And I just wanted to say a few words to people who may may not have a particular connection with their mother, not typical as other people have a relationship with their mother. But we are admonished to honor our father and our mother in spite of or despite, because everybody has a customized story, customized relationship with other. And this day is about celebrating and or commemorating, remembering your mother that she was the provider of life for you. We all have mothers, and we all have to honor that in that that they are the provider of life, for avenue for all of us being served. So we just celebrate mother for that labor of love, literally a labor. God's own family value and the value of families. The mainstream media, you know, filter that with a grain of salt, tries to talk about the various types of family, and we know that God gave a specific type of mother and father of children, and He admonished us to go and replenish the earth. But there's all sorts of introductions of surrogate families, where there's the same sex family. We're not here to, pass judgment in that regard, but what do you say about the value of the institution of family for what God presented into the
Well, I like to add something. I like to add something to that, what you just said. I think not enough respect is given to families that are stepdaddies and stepmothers, because as someone who, not myself, of course, but somebody who might have been abandoned by their biological mother, biological father, somebody took them in. Somebody gave them hope. Somebody gave them love. So as we say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, I think biological or non-biological mothers also are to be given that same amount of respect as far as the value that it was taught into someone who wasn't loved by their own parents. Um, I know that
story?
might be kind of a deep subject, but it really, I think that sometimes we don't pay respects to our mothers until we miss them, or we don't pay an honor to them, because as we was growing up, yeah, I was a little rebellious from time to time, but my mother kind of whipped me into getting back on the right path,
I know that's
per
right.
se. you know, how
Little,
they say, spare the child for the ride, or you know, you know, you had to take some whippings in order to get my attention.
I
And once
know
I
that's
got my attention, I understand that, okay, well, I am living underneath her roof and my father's roof, so I have to fall in line or find my own place. Of course, I was too young to find my own place, so I fell in line.
But
And
what do you say about surrogates and step parents that are raising children as their own or adoptive parents? They are the parent that God has put favor in their eyes towards that child, and that is so valuable. Sometimes parents give up children not because necessarily because they don't love them, but sometimes they don't have the resources or the wherewithal to safely raise that child or economically be responsible for that child. So I'm so glad you brought that up about parents that have stepped in to care for children in the stead of the parent who, for whatever reason, could not or would not at the time. And
mhm.
that's just like the Lord. There are parents who are raising children that are not their biological children, and you could never tell the difference. because they don't show partiality. They love that child genuinely from the heart, and God has given the child favor in their eyes. So that's very important. We celebrate, commemorate them. So thank you for bringing that up.
And you know what? I don't know. Is there a happy grandmother's day or happy grandfather's day? Because there was even grandmothers when their mothers wasn't able to be there in whatever capacity. It might be tragically or anything like that. I think grandmothers also should be given that respect.
That is so true. Kirk Franklin tells his testimony all the time. And I think he's
Oh,
Texas as well. He gives that testimony
mhm.
about how his grandmother, I believe his grandmother or his aunt.
Well, there is a grandparents' day, but they don't really publicize it as they do Mother's Day and Father's Day. But there is a actual grandparents' day. I'm not sure when it is in 2021, but I do know it exists. Give me a minute, I'll tell you before we get off here.
I like to find that out because just as important that our parents may not give, our parents may not have been there. Both parents had to work. Of course, you had to take your kids over to somebody's house that you trust, and usually it was the grandparents. It was the
Mhm.
grandmother who also uh, exercised their will onto you to make sure you follow and stay on the straight and narrow. Um, but it's so many different aspects when it comes to Mother's Day that
Yeah.
we
And
just should not
truly,
just limit ourselves to just biological mothers.
right.
Non-biological mothers and grandmothers
Yeah.
was just as important in our lives for those
Because
who didn't have that
extended
ability.
families were very important. People lived in
Right.
the community together, and the issue of this absorbent childcare cost is so phenomenal that sometimes parents can't work because all of their money goes towards childcare. But when the extended family lived close together, you're
Mhm.
right. Grandparents, relatives, aunts, sisters stepped in and took turns caring for children while we worked. And that's how you were able to get ahead and save money and, afford a comfortable life. Now we're living paycheck to paycheck because all of our resources are going out, whereas extended family usually or used to step in and fill the gap for helping to care and raise for the children. Because back in the day, if you did something and your parent was at work, auntie, grandma, they were allowed, authorized to keep you in mind as well. But now sometimes you can't say things to children
Huh.
because we don't value the parent, the co-parenting, the community parenting of our extended family. So you're right, grandma was a big part of raising
You know what? I like to propose today, or I think the federal government should propose that it should have a National Families Day and make it a federal holiday that
Wow.
nobody should work on that particular day. As much as I like to work overtime, I would probably take time off of that to have a national federal
And
holiday.
Yeah. Look, now just
wow.
before I forget, Grandparents' Day in 2021 is Sunday, September 12th.
Sunday, September 12th.
Yeah, now
Okay.
the problem is the fact that, especially now, if it's always the same time in September, it's probably getting lost because of 9/11 now, and everybody's so caught up in celebrating 9/11 that you're not
Wow.
celebrating Grandparents' Day because usually
The
Mother's
next
Day,
day, the
Father's Day,
very next day.
yeah, it's all of those things that kind of happening at the same time every year. So if that's true, the Grandparents Day every day for the last what? 18 years or so. We had 20 years because it was what 2001. So we talking 20 years ago.
2001, 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. So we talking. It's been getting lost within 9/11, and them
Right.
celebrating that all weekend. And 9/11 is getting all the stage because they're talking about it the upcoming week. The NFL game comes on Sunday. Everybody's talking about remembering 9/11. They always got the picture of the player that left the league and went to the army. I can't think of his name, but he played for the
Pat
Cardinals.
Tillman. Pat
Still,
Tillman.
they
Yeah,
got
from
all.
Arizona.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah,
so,
what he did, he went out to into the NFL. He turned like down a $3 million contract to go and fight in the military, and he got killed in Afghanistan, Iran or something, and his death was under question because they it came out that it was under friendly fire.
Fire. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
some people think that he was killed, like murder killed,
Mm-hmm.
but that's never
Mm-hmm.
were able to prove it
Mm-hmm.
because he was ready to come home. He didn't want to stay anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
you never know really, what's happening. I'm sure that his heart was in the right place. Um, I'm sure his heart was in the right place when he went to the military and when
Mm-hmm.
9/11 happened, I remember, being at work and how that was.
Mm-hmm.
But and I ain't trying to be funny, when I was in the military and even now, it ain't a whole bunch of white kids on the front line. It's really a whole bunch of us. And so
Well,
sometimes when you go in there and you enroll in ranger, infantry, and all that other stuff, you- and you are privileged, you come from privilege, you're not expecting what you're going to go into. So um, when I listened to it was a couple of years ago on the NFL morning show, they were talking that he was ready to come home. So something happened during that time with him deciding he didn't want to be
mm-hmm.
there before and them working all that
Right.
out
Mm-hmm.
uh, to him dying. So who
Mm-hmm.
knows, man, what really happened, to be honest with
Well, the good thing about it, the NFL did name an award after him. It's
you.
called the Pat Tillman Courage Award for people who are showing courage and people who have someone has done something for the military who's still playing football. So they do
Mm.
have a Pat Tillman Award.
But I mean, he deserves it. He deserves to have it because not a whole lot of people in his position would have made that choice for real.
That's right. Turned out $3 million to go fight in an award that wasn't started by us. It was started, you know.
I mean, it was really more than
It
that
takes a lot
because
of courage. It took a lot of courage out of him.
his base salary was 3 million, but that won't the full contract. So you think about it, you're talking 3 million a year base probably, and he was one of the best safeties in the NFL at that time.
He
So
was
you
pretty
talking
good. He was
uh,
pretty good. He
he
was pretty
probably
good.
had a signing bonus of a 10 million off when he signed his name or something. So
Yeah. But he rescinded it and said, "Look, that's okay. I don't want that contract. I'm gonna go serve in the military. I'm motivated what I saw on 9/11, and yeah,
mm,
Well, I really love the idea of a family day. I never thought of that, having a national family day, because
yeah,
so many things draw us apart, draw our attention apart, that it would be a good thing to have a day. And some people use like the 4th of July um, to have family reunions around that time in the
hmm
summer. But it
well,
would be
I
cool
never
to have it
had put a
different.
lot of thought into it, but it's like when I was listening to Clayton speak, it's like I'm a step parent and having I had cancer at 30, so I never had biological children. But so sometimes you are, even though sometimes you have, well, not all the times, you have to assume the responsibility once you marry a woman with children of the responsibility of the parent in the house. You have to treat them like your own. And even though all that's true, when Father's Day comes, you don't always feel like that's your day. You know what I mean? But if you have a family day, I think that it would be more inclusive. So even though people like me, you may be doing the job, but sometimes it just feels awkward. Sometimes, especially depending on how old you were when you took on the children. In my case, my youngest, my stepdaughter was like 14 years old, and they were
She's
already,
almost, she's already grown.
yeah. So it's
She
like,
thought she was.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really different. And
Hmm.
for three, and I done it from three all the way up. You know, you may feel a little bit different about it, but I love that concept, man. Maybe might be something you should send to a congressman or something.
What about National Federal's Day? National Families Day. Make it a
Uh,
federal holiday, not just a
mm,
regular day that they recognize,
yeah,
uh, but make it a federal holiday.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
there
what
is
it meant. Yeah.
process
Yeah.
to get
I,
it
I
in.
don't know what day it could be picked out, I wouldn't put it in a month. I would not put it in a month that has a federal holiday in that same month. Like there's a holiday in January, there's a holiday in February.
You got
Um,
one every month. It has to be in the summertime
yeah, it has
because
to be in the summertime.
okay. So the
And you know
only
what? Why not make it a federal holiday on Juneteenth?
yeah,
Not, not June 19th. I don't know how the white people would like that, but you know, make that a
nah,
federal family.
I,
That might
I
take
would
away from that. Though. Oh,
yeah,
no, that won't be
yeah.
good.
I don't want yeah. I like the fact that we need a federal holiday on Juneteenth, but I don't want it to be that need to be our day. That don't need to be shared.
Okay. You know what, Dan? I was just thinking, and then I caught my own self, and I said, wait a minute, that might not be good. Let
Yeah.
Juneteenth stand on its own and make uh, a federal national families holiday
It
stand
would
on
have
another day.
it would
Right.
have to be in August, right? Because every month has a holiday that's recognized nationally, right? So January obviously has New Year's, February has President's Day, got Valentine's Day and all that. March has St. Patrick's Day,
Hmm.
sometimes Easter, depends on how that falls. It could be in April. Um, um, then April really doesn't have anything, but it's not necessarily all the way warm in April. May has Mother's Day and Memorial Day, right? June
Hmm.
has Father's Day. You
Hmm.
probably could slide it in June. July obviously has the 4th. August has nothing. So
I'm good with August.
yeah, August.
September, you got September 11th, of course, and
But then you
November
got
has.
Labor
We
Day.
have two holidays in November. Two
Yeah,
federal holidays in November.
you got Veterans Day and Thanksgiving. So
You
I
got
think
Veterans Day. Thank you.
August will probably be the best one because September has two. September has well, I
Yeah,
ain't gonna call it 9/11.
Columbus Day. You gonna call it Columbus Day because he discovered America? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
September has Labor Day.
September
Labor
has
We have Labor Day.
well, Columbus Day. They ain't never gonna get that up. I mean, everybody know the truth now, but they've been lying so long. They never gonna give that up.
Mhm. Well, August works in that it's still hot. It's right in the middle of vacation time when your children are out of school. It's a perfect time to plan vacation, put in your time from work. So August could work.
August 1st, or
Mm.
make it the first Saturday in August. So it'll guarantee. Can you guarantee to be on a weekend so you can have it like that instead of
Yeah,
because if
you
you
can
make it
have
like
like
August
second,
1st, sometimes August 1st can be on a Wednesday or Thursday.
then you can say the second Monday or the first Monday.
Okay.
So it'll always be
Okay.
a long weekend.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Right.
that sounds like a month like MLK Day. It's always like the
Like
third.
MLK. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even though we know it's supposed to be on the 15th, but they move it around.
Well, they keep it
So
the same Monday so you can have a long weekend. So it's
right,
like the
right.
second, if we make it the second Monday in August, that's right. So you're not rushed before the 4th and it'll automatically get. So you're saying Family Day or Family Week, a National Family
No,
Day?
Family Day. Family,
Day.
it'll be a day. It is be a federal holiday.
Yeah, I
It'll be a
like that.
federal holiday.
The second Monday in August.
Right. It won't be no day that is recognized like Easter is not a federal holiday, but you're talking a federal holiday as far as National Families Day. Families are to get together. They have to have a parade. Just go out and just do things together. Just like if you got a parade for Thanksgiving, let's have a parade for families from all nationalities. That's some of the values that we can kind of remind ourselves that we need one another. When you
Yeah.
We,
sometimes you don't have nobody else, you have family, and
mm,
family, they're there to drive you crazy, but they're also there to support you. They're also there to sometimes listen to what you have to say. And sometimes when you have family members who don't get along with one another, hey, let's come today, let's come together on this one special day. Let's
well,
Yeah.
you
come
know
together
what?
on this one special day.
Growing up, I'm probably the last generation that kind of grew up like that. I'm 49. Um, and back when I grew up, it was like you said, Clayton, you might be at your grandmother's, you might be at your aunt's house. And so for me, that really kind of resonates because, you know, I didn't have a relationship with my father. But his mother and my grandparents, his parents, wanted to know their grandchildren. So I was very close to my grandparents. Now, my mother's side, I was close to my grandmother, my mom's mom, but then she died. I was like 7 years old. Um, my dad's mom, on Friday when I got off that bus, I was in Richmond at my nanny house every weekend, all summer long. I'm at my nanny house. And then during the school time, I was the youngest, so my mom, I call her Mama Shirley. That was my mama's one of her older sisters. I used to get on the bus there and stay there during the week because I was too young to be at the bus stop by myself. My mom had to work, so I stayed there and came home on the weekends. During that time, I wasn't going to my nan's. I'd be on my mom's on the weekends. From Friday, then I go to my mama Shirley's on Sunday night. Um,
Mhm.
and then my aunt Joyce, once I was about by the time I was like 10, you know, I ain't want to stay at my mama Shirley's no more. So I went back home. But then my
Mhm.
aunt Joyce was across the road from my mom's. So when I got off the bus, I could go home. I could go play over there. It was always somewhere to be and somewhere to go. And you always had, family around. And but when it was that way, the family dynamic in the black community was better. It was stronger. And as a community, we strived more. And somewhere along the way, you know, the next generation came and you don't want nobody to say nothing to your kids. You don't want nobody touching your kids. You don't want nobody to discipline your kids. And so then the village kind of fell apart. Um, and I don't know if we'll ever get back to it, to be honest with
Yeah, I, I, I really think that ship is sailed as far as it takes a village to raise a child.
you.
Because really, you almost got to look at the village. You almost
Hmm.
got to look at the person who's trying to raise that child. Are they
Yeah.
capable in understanding that this child can make a difference in somebody's life once it's grown up? Not to just ignore that child and just say, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to have any influence in this child's life because that can be a big difference. I think policemen ought to understand how important our families are. If our families, and I don't want to get too far off base when it comes to family values, but I think it can really make a difference when it comes to loneliness, suicidal, or even wanted to go out there and mass murder by having a close knit family, showing that this is the reason why I'm here. I have, if I don't have nobody else to love me, I have my family to love me. I think it can really make a big difference.
I agree. I definitely agree because during this pandemic, the rates, it used to be a really big issue with children bullying one another. You all remember there was a big push for a movement for people to stop bullying on the internet, stop bullying at school, adults to stop bullying one another, forcing their opinions on one another. But during this isolation and this pandemic, there's been a rise in the statistics of young people that moved from necessarily bullying each other to hurting, harming themselves. Suicide rates has gone up like exponentially, like a couple of 100%. And now the rate of, children and youth and young adults actually harming themselves, cutting themselves, abusing themselves, that has gone up. So the fact that we move towards isolation and away from bonding as family, something as simple as, Cicely Tyson, the late great Cicely Tyson, who passed away this year, said something really profound. She said back in the day, no matter what the family was doing, at 6 o'clock, everybody was sitting down at the table eating dinner. Now we go to our separate rooms, we eat dinner on our laps, we eat dinner in front of our gaming system, we eat dinner in front of the television, we eat dinner privately. We don't eat breakfast together. Some people's in the mood for this and mood for that, but there's not one time of the day where it's required that the family come and sit down and eat together. And she attributed that to much of her success. Because at the family dinner table at 6 o'clock every day, first of all, it was routine. You could count on it. You could not opt out. And you were able to flush out problems and share your joys. So it was multifaceted. It had a lot of advantages. Surely sometimes we get to the dinner table and we don't agree, and there's we're in all different types of moods depending on what our occupation or what industry we're working in. But at the end of the day, Miss Cicely Tyson said the value of it is that we were able to share it, and it was mandatory. It was unheard of to miss dinner, the 6 o'clock dinner at the dinner table. And because it was mandatory, you were forced to share. It was not optional to keep everything in, live a private, separate life. And in that, you had bonding that automatically came every day. So sometimes the simple things, getting back to the simple things of life, adds so much value. And it doesn't mean that we need to make more money and get 3 jobs. Sometimes honoring the word of God, just doing the basic things can bring value to your life and peace. And it won't give you the thinking in your mind that you have to harm others or harm yourself.
And you know what? To to something that you just said, Cheryl, and it's about homicide and suicidal rates. We know that are increasing across the land. And when it comes to homicide, how well do a 16-year-old child who wants to go into Walmart to get a weapon where families are doing their thing and they want to make their name for themselves? It's almost like, was this child ever loved? Well, this child had values when they was growing up. Does this child strayed away to let social media influence their mindset? And that's the reason why I know I keep emphasizing the National Families Day, but that's just something that at least that day we can say we can come together. We can come together as a family and our family as a nation, and we can show the rest of the world This is how America is. This is one side of America. You might see a side of America where you're seeing white cops standing on the necks of black men, but there's another side of America. That's not the only side that we need to show the world. We can be an example for
But
everybody.
I don't know if I think all because culturally it's different. So in the black community, the family dynamic was always kind of tight. So where you got cousins that were like siblings and so on and so forth, right? But when I'm a little younger than y'all, so I don't know if y'all ever went to like you know segregated schools. Like I never went to a segregated school. Right, by the time I went to school, it was 100% integrated, and my white friends didn't look at family like us. The way that our grandmothers are involved in our life, their grandmothers weren't. Okay, the way that the closeness that we have, they love their family and they all, but that wasn't the same. You know, I seen some of my friends cuss around their parents. You sitting there like,
Yeah, ooh, we didn't ever do that.
how's they front your mama, man? Like,
We couldn't even say lie.
yeah,
We had to say story. Oh, you telling the story? You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
say
So
damn. We couldn't even repeat things that we read in the Bible. Damn
yeah.
and ass is in the Bible. We couldn't no, we couldn't
So
repeat
I'm
those
telling
type
you,
of things.
so some of that stuff,
Yeah.
I don't know the America. I don't know if we can ever tell the world that story because America's hands are so dirty from so much wrong to so many people. I don't know if the country as a whole will ever get to a point, but I do think it's a good idea. I don't know if the country will ever get that moral exception because there's a lot of blood on America's hands around the world, and I don't know
Mm,
if they ever shed it. I mean, there's a lot of blood. I mean, if you really think about it, like I was literally having this conversation with somebody the other day. So when you look at white America or at that point the European, right,
hmm.
was the people over there they were in England, and at the time England owned the land here, right? It was an English colony, so it was like you were so unhappy with the fact that you couldn't worship religion like you wanted. You're so unhappy that you were under English rule and you wanted the independence to be able to do the things you want to do. You fought to get the freedom, and then you came to America, took this land, murdered basically annihilated a race of people in the native, and then you enslaved black people and treated them worse than England was treating them. And with a straight face says that unite justice for all and all these freedoms, but they didn't look at nobody that didn't look like them to be equal to them. And so even now in 2021, not to say that all white America thinks that way, but that is still a big basis of who and what America represents. The racial component is really really strong here, and I don't even when you look at your politicians, it's like you got a few Tim Scotts in the world that are just like Steven and Django. It's like, come on, dude. Like, how do you sit here, stand there with a straight face, being a black man in this country, and not speak up when you hear stuff is wrong just because of a party? And it's like, um, there are certain things in America that I don't think will ever get better because the world of politics is so prevalent. It's when you look at how politics affects the country, it's like people are just so party allegiant that they don't take the common sense to look at how all the decisions that they make, how it affects family. And um, so for that reason, and that us as the American citizens, we don't hold people accountable to the right thing. We hold them accountable to um, just their party. And but since we hold them accountable to the party, and then what you have is a dynamic where the parties switch. Okay, so a lot of times when you listen to people like Tim Scott, who's really the only Republican senator right now, he's
White
always quick.
Republicans. Right.
Yeah, you he's always quick to say that the Republican Party freed the slaves. The Republican parties did this and did that as relates to civil rights. But when you look at the Republican Party in the '60s and the Republican parties of the 1800s, they are the Democrat Party now. They switched, okay, and so people act like that thing didn't happen. And so when you look at people in the Republican Party now, they don't care about what's happening for the the fullness of what America needs to be whole. They only care about wealthy people, and they don't really care about family. They say enough about family just to kind of divide people, so they start talking about abortion rights and stuff like that. Um, but they don't really care. And it's like, so when you start looking at how the world is viewing us, and then you look at, voter suppression and everybody should be able to vote. But you know what? If we can't get our way, we're gonna make it that much difficult for everybody else that don't have money to vote. That way we can win. So everything that they do has divided this country so badly that you can't get anything done. And the only way to change it is to use the rules that they have to change it. But on an overall, we are not as involved as we need to be to make a change. And when you look at the fact that, yeah, I understand that, well, they call it black on black crime. And while I understand that the number of white people that kill white people like 84%, and the number of black people is a little bit more, maybe 90, I can't care about that much because if we can love each other in our own community, then we will be more of us. We won't be 12% of the population. Our voting power will be more because there'll be more of us. And then the things that we need to change, we'd be able to change if we start loving each other and stop killing each other every day in our community. And those things are facts. And I think that if those things can happen, yes, I believe everything that Clayton said is a true statement. But I don't know if America could ever be looked at as a moral fiber in the world no more because, I mean, you think about it. When I came out of high school, the Desert Storm was the war, right? Okay,
Yeah.
well, why did we go to Desert Storm? We were trying to steal on people's oil. Okay, and so you couldn't get what you wanted. They knew what you wanted, so they burnt their own oil field so you couldn't get it. When that happened, gas was like 79 cents a gallon. Gas has
Hmm.
never been cheap like that since Desert Storm. It's been
Yeah.
up as when you look at
Yeah.
the
Was
cost
yeah.
of a barrel of gas now, it's not that much more than a barrel of gas back then. But that cost is never going to come down to where it should be reasonable, right? It's all about money. So when you look at our counterparts, every decision that they make is about dominating everybody that they think that's less than them, and then taking all their resources and becoming extremely rich because of it. Okay, when you look at even Japan in World War II, I don't really know all the things that went into World War II. You hear, the Hitler piece of it, but the truth of the matter is that when you look at Japan, even in 2021, they still haven't recovered from America dropping that bomb. Okay. And now when you look at us fighting about weapons of mass destruction, we fight about it, but we have them too. So basically, what you're saying is we don't want y'all to have them, the small
But we
country,
got it.
but we got them, and
We
we gonna
can.
keep, you know.
So
So
it.
America,
Yeah.
man, is like, you know, we in some ways we're the best country in the world. In a lot of ways, we're the most hypocritical country in the world, and all we care about is white people and white America. And they care about enough black people that can help them get what they want. But for the most part, as a collective, they don't care about the black community. And even the few black people that's um, in that in that realm, this from congressmen to senators, they make so much money, and even though that they know what we complain about is true, they won't even go out and speak up for the things that they know they need to speak up for the community because they don't associate themselves with it anymore. And a real person that's really going to come from the community and fight for it would never get elected. Like they never elect a brother like me to come out there. I can tell you right now.
Oh my goodness, so many good points. But one thing that you started off saying that reminded me that when we were growing up, there was a protocol in the family, there was respect, there was honor in the family where we dared not disrespect our mother and father. It doesn't matter
Mm.
what we were thinking, and it didn't matter our circumstances. But it wasn't until we integrated and started seeing things on the media where children are storming out of the rooms, yelling at the parents, I hate you. I don't want to be part of this family. I'll kill you. Bombs in the basement. We in our community, the culture did not recognize that type of behavior. So what Clayton's idea about a family day, even if the different cultures permit certain things and are not familiar to us, like Clayton is saying, we could be an example and a light. Second of all, America unfortunately is racist. It doesn't matter what President Biden says or Vice President Kamala Harris is saying. They say America is not racist. What they intended to say may be a little different, but the
Well,
bottom
Tim
line,
Scott started it though. Tim
America as
Scott
a
said it first.
whole is racist. However, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. It doesn't matter what America as a whole, what their philosophy is. Any nation that does not honor God is going down. So we can either get with the program and align ourselves with doing right, or we'll be like the other nations that have fallen. We're not too big that we cannot be taken down. So we have to line ourselves up with the word of God is basically. I know it looks impossible for change, but it doesn't matter. We have to change. One of the ministers on the radio this morning gave an analogy about submission, and he was talking about women and Mother's Day, and he made it humorous about the part in the vows where the woman should submit to the man. And he was saying, even though you may be right, but is it the right thing to do? And he gave an example, a funny example of a Volkswagen Beetle driving down the highway beside a Mack truck. And it comes to a point in the highway where the road narrows and somebody has to get over. Now, the Volkswagen Beetle has the right of way. They're totally right. But this Mack truck is, you're in the blind side. They can't see you. They're coming at full speed ahead. They're coming in hot. So what is the Volkswagen Beetle going to do? Either you can be right and keep going, or you can submit and allow for that Mack truck to come through. And that's how sometimes lives are. We're right in our own minds about a lot of things, but the end thereof is death, as the Bible says. If we don't use common sense, if we don't know how to, align ourselves with the Word of God, it doesn't matter how many rights we have. We have to still, in the end, be righteous, and that's just lining up and obeying the Word of God. So, I don't know about America as a nation. I'm hopeful that we'll get it together, but if we don't, we have to work towards it as individuals. And having a family day is a step towards that end.
Yeah,
Federal. I want this because I think, Darren, if you can check that out for me, is there already a Families Day? But this needs to be a federal, it needs to be recognized by the government.
no, there's not a family day. I do it off top. You have a grandparents' day. You have a Father's Day, Mother's Day. You have various days like that. In there, you got I don't
Happy
know.
Secretary's Day, something like that. You got Happy
Yeah, there's
Boss Day. Yeah.
Yeah, you got days like that. And lately, you see every year there's National Siblings Day. I don't know how real that is. That's something that started on national media or
Yeah.
social,
I've seen that.
you know,
Seen
because
that.
I've never seen on the calendar where it says this is National Siblings Day before. But obviously it's there now. But
Mhm.
like I said, the only way that I believe it's a great idea. I just believe that if it's going to happen, I would probably send something to your local congressman or senator and see if you can get them behind it and push it, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that if you can get um a congressman or senator behind it, which is why we vote them in office, then I believe that it's something that that can move forward. Um,
And Darren, I didn't mean to interrupt you though. I'm sorry. While you saying that, instead of just getting one congressman, I think we need to get your local Republican and your local Democrat to propose this as the same. Because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing Democrats against Republicans and Republicans against Democrats. How are we expected to see that this government is not working together? They want to sit there and say no while somebody's trying to come to some type of resolution.
it doesn't make sense at all, right? It's like this, right? Listen, I would typically vote Democrat, right? But if I listen to some of the things that's coming from the right side of the aisle, I don't think every idea is a bad idea. So my thing is like when I listen to the news, every time one side proposes something, they don't have the common sense enough to say, you know what, I like this about your idea. I don't like this
Mhm.
about that. How about we do this and do that, and then we get a pass.
Compromise and tweak it till you come to a conclusion.
And that's with everything, right? It's like even like when you look when President Obama was president, there were things that Republicans typically went for that they never went for during the 8 years of President Obama, just because he was black and he coming from the Democratic side of the aisle. It does not make sense that you know how divided the country is in 100% over Republican Democrat, like you say, and then they want it that way. So like when you sit here and you listen to them the other day, like you had the GOP was talking about the good, bad, and ugly about slavery. And then it took the interviewer to ask him, there was no good about slavery. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, but they when they say stupid stuff like that, they really
Yeah.
they go now. He got to come out and issue a wait a meaningless apology.
Yeah.
But he meant
Yeah.
exactly what he said.
You got to
So,
amend his statement so somebody won't misunderstand it. That kind of
right.
remind me when Kanye West had said something about slavery was a choice or whatever the case may be when he had this little controversy.
They say all that stupid stuff, and it's like we not using common sense in any matter. It's like if I tell somebody, you know what, we can make a big issue about everything. It's like if but everything comes down to an opinion. But sometimes when we so busy trying to move the needle one way or another, you miss what's going on in America, right? So, for instance, when you listen, the Republican Party is supposed to be the conservative party, the party of family, and all of that, and the party of morality, right? Well,
Mhm.
so the only thing that they really hang their hat on is the fact that they're pro-family, don't believe in abortions and all that other stuff. To me, I don't really get caught up in the abortion issue, to be honest with you. I listen to all these politicians argue about abortion. To me, it don't make a difference. And it really, the reason that it doesn't make a difference is because as a man, if I got a woman pregnant, I'm not asking a woman to have an abortion. But that's me. If I made a baby, I raised the baby. But at the same time, when you got politicians arguing about it, you know what they see? They see black people on welfare on the system. They're not looking at the dynamic. It ain't a whole lot of black people in Idaho. It ain't a whole lot of black people in Mississippi. It ain't a whole lot of black
North
people in
Dakota,
South
North Dakota, and
Dakota,
South Dakota. Yeah.
places like that, right? You know what you got? You got a bunch of poor white people on the system, and there's more of them on the system than us. The reason that they haven't ended welfare 100% is because they know that there's a lot of white people that be hurt, and then so what they try to do is put this narrative that black people are lazy, that we don't want to work, and even though you have some of us that fit that narrative, for the most part, you got to use some common sense when it comes to abortion issues, right? So we say, okay, if you get rid of abortion laws, right, and you make it illegal, all that's gonna end up happening is the same people that was gonna get one will start going getting illegal abortion. You're gonna see women showing up dead in alleys. having abortions because they're aborting children that they don't want.
Nobody wants
And
that on their hands. That's kind of a blood on their hands. Nobody wants that kind of blood
yeah,
on their
and
hands to see.
that's what's going to happen, right? So you know what? If a person now, I'm with making sure that if you're going to make that decision, you need to make it at a certain time in the pregnancy, and I don't think it should be for so extremely late in the pregnancy. To be honest with you, now that don't mean that we can have common sense laws. If a woman's life is in danger and she's late in her pregnancy, what do we do? You're gonna say the child, you're gonna say the woman. The woman is in the earth and living right now. The baby's gonna kill her. I don't know. Do she if she want to risk her life and let her baby come in the world without her, then the
Mm-hmm.
baby still gonna suffer in life because the baby got to grow without a mother. So which one of these
Mm-hmm.
situations is going to be the best situation? Like people don't use common sense when they're talking about stuff. Like it, like what are we fussing about? The Bible, like if you even if you the church, well, if I have an abortion, or you not gonna go to hell because you don't agree with it. If anybody, I'm going to hell, the woman to go to hell, right? It's still a choice that we have to make. If you have, everybody has a choice to make to align their life up with the Lord. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you can't make that
Um,
happen just because, you know. If I want to be in right standing with the Lord when it comes to homosexuality, all I gotta do is don't marry a dude. I got a pretty wife. I ain't worried about that. That don't affect me. Okay, if I have to vote on a law and somebody asks me, do I believe that a two dudes should be able to get married to? Then if you give me, you asking my opinion, then I'm gonna go with my opinion. And I'm gonna say no, I don't believe in that. But I'm
I
not
don't
spending
believe in that either.
on earthly time worried about these two dudes getting married because then they close their eyes. The Lord gonna tell them everything that word said is true. And half the people, and especially these young people now, don't believe in the Bible. So when we are leaning on the word of God, which I believe is true, you and Cheryl believe is true, but a lot of these millennials don't believe in the Bible no more. They don't believe in Jesus no more.
Hey,
That's
I don't want to cut y'all off. I'm at work and I gotta get back. I told them that I'll be an hour.
Well, our time is
So
up. Our time is up, and this has been a fascinating, oh my goodness, fascinating program. So I'm going to share this with the mothers. Just give the parting words for the mothers, and we're going to end the show on this positive note, wishing mothers a happy Mother's Day, and we're going to say goodbye until next week. So do you have parting words for the mother?
yeah, yeah. It's a man's world, but it's nothing without a woman.
Perfect ending. Thank you. God bless you.
God
Until
bless
next,
y'all.
all
okay.
right, brother Clayton, as always.
D, nice to hear from you, man. Take care of yourself. You sound a little sick. You all right?
Man, I got a skin condition and my body real sore, so that's why I'm not showing myself. I'm still laying in the bed.
No problem. No problem. We hear your voice. That's all. And you
Yeah,
sound like you came through pretty strong. So that's a good thing, man. I'm praying for you and I hope that you come back to 100%, man. I'm going to send some healing angels your way.
I appreciate you, brother, and much love to you.
All right, much love to you too, bro.
All right, and
Okay.
Cheryl, it's always good to see you here. Happy Mother's Day to you and every mother out here in the world. Um, this makes a difference as
Thank you
well.
so much. And get well soon. Thank you for calling in. And we're just going to be praying for all the mothers and praying for those mothers not here, that they have a wonderful commemoration memory of their mother. Until next week.
Okay, I'll see you guys
All
next.
right. Okay.